They have saying that to error is human, but to mess things up completely requires a computer. Dilisi O'Leary, Islam of the Crossroads says, history makes it clear, however, that the legend of fanatical Muslims sweeping through the world and forcing Islam at the point of the sword upon conquered races is one of the most fantastically absurd myths that historians have ever repeated. Fantastically absurd. Pandit Deshpande from India says, the critics are blind. They cannot see that the only sword Muhammad wielded was the sword of mercy, compassion, friendship, and forgiveness. The sword that conquers enemies and purifies their hearts. His sword was sharper than the sword of steel. But the biased critics of Islam are prejudicial and partisan, who are narrow-minded, whose eyes are covered by a veil of ignorance. They see fire instead of light, ugliness instead of beauty, and evil instead of good. They distort and present every good quality as a great vice. It reflects their own depravity. You've already seen the quotation from Gandhi, so I will not repeat that for now. But I want us to focus on one thing only, and this is a very, very important point. If you don't remember anything else from what I say, my brothers and sisters, please remember this point. In the West, when you study human life, it's divided into two sectors, spiritual and secular. In the spiritual, you have three things: belief, worship, and rituals, customs. Every religion has this. And in the secular side, you have social, economic, and political. These 6 branches of knowledge come together to form human life. We Muslims don't agree with this separation, but that's how they study them in the West. The secular and the spiritual should not mix. They're too separate according to them. Let me give you this statement. Please remember this. The only human being in human history who was taught all 6 subjects is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They will not find, I challenge anybody, another human being who was taught all 6. Either they've taught a lot of things in worship or belief, but nothing in economics. Or either they were great economists, but nothing in worship and belief. Either they were great political leaders, but left no morality for their followers. They were either hero in one place, zero in somebody else. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught all 6. And there's no other human example in the history of humanity who had taught all 6 subjects. None. From the beginning of time to today, there is none who was taught all 6, but there's another part of this, inshallah, we'll come to a little bit later. So his teachings is all encompassing. We're not talking about statements being made in economics, be honest when you deal. No, detail. You don't trust me, go and open up the Bukhari and look at the subject index only. Go and open up Bukhari and just look at the subject index only. Detail. His teaching covered belief, one God, prophethood, life after death. His teachings covered worship, prayer, charity, good conduct, worship, the whole of life. Relationship with Allah. He was the first man in human history to teach personal hygiene to the highest standard. If you study fiqh anywhere under any scholar, the first book you come to is Tahara. Right or wrong? First book, and Tahara isn't taught in one class, it's usually 3 or 4. He was the first man to show diet. We Muslims, may Allah forgive us. Does anybody know what was the first bid'at according to Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha? We are all concerned about bid'at. What was the first bid'at? She said, the bid'ah that started first is we started to eat to our stomach food. Not overeating. Just eating to our stomach food. Rasulullah said, the stomach is the seat of all disease. And it is now being proven by science. Inshallah, we haven't had time to go through. Dentistry. The first man in human history. Detail on dentistry. Sleep. What is the best way to sleep? Everything. Family relationship. There's nothing he has left about. All aspects of life, from birth to death. And I often refer to this guidance from the cradle to the grave. From the moment that you're born to the moment that you die, everything that you come across in your life, there is teaching from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Detail, not just 1 or 2 mentions. Let us continue. Social life of man. Every human being is absolutely equal. Neither a black man is greater than the white man, nor is the white man greater than the black, nor is an Arab greater than a non-Arab, nor is a non-Arab greater than an Arab. The first man in human history to teach this and also to economy with some control. No gambling in economics, not just the gambling that people do, no gambling in economics, the futures market, Enron. Trading in futures is haram in Islam. You cannot sell fruit until they're ripe. You cannot sell your fish in your pond until you take it out. In the hadith, I'm not making this up. Political life of man, sovereignty belongs to Allah, to man is vicegerency. Rulers are the servants of they serve. Treaties with non-Muslims, God conscious in all affairs to mankind. He was the first man in human history to teach animal rights. Do not overlay or overburden your camel. A woman was punished in hellfire because she trapped a cat and did not set it free so they could eat. Another woman who was a prostitute was sent to Jannah. Why? Because she went down the well and took water out and fed it to a dog. Again, on the animal rights, we could continue. Hunting for the sake of pleasure forbidden. Once somebody said about Americans are the only people in the world who go hunting on a full stomach. Crazy. Killing animals for joy. The first environmentalist. If you have a river next to your house, only take what you need. Plant trees. If you see the angel of death coming, carry on planting it. And then, as I said, we could go on. Guidance from the kitchen to the house of governance. The only man in human history to teach all these subjects in great detail. In the cavalcade of world history, that the sublime figures of the world, wonderful personal towers, so high above all great men of all times, who are famous as heroes of nations, they appear to be dwarfed when contrasted with him. None of them possess a genius capable of making any deep impression on more than one or two aspects of human life. Some are the exponents of theories and ideas, but are deficient in practical action. Many wonderful people have come and said wonderful things. Those of you heard of the name Plato, Plato wrote a book called The Republic. Many years before Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam. But the Republic never got established anywhere. Their theories, they come out, but nothing practical. Some other men are men of action, but suffer from the paucity of knowledge. Some are renowned by statements only, others are masters of strategy and maneuvering. Some have concentrated on one aspect of social life in a manner that other aspects have been overlooked. Some others have devoted their energies to ethical and spiritual varieties and have ignored economic and politics. Some others have taken to economics and politics but neglected the morals and spiritual life. In short, one comes across heroes who are adept and expert in one walk of life only. He, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is the only example where all excellences have been blended into one personality. He is a philosopher and a seer, also a living embodiment of his own teachings. He is a great statesman as well as a military genius. He is a legislator and also a teacher of morals. He is spiritual luminary as well as religious guide. Those whom people style as makers of history are only creatures of history. In fact, in the whole history of mankind, he is the unique example of a maker of history. This, I'm afraid, is from a Muslim. He summarizes the real issue. They've come and they've gone. And you saw the quotation earlier. You can take all the great leaders of the world, write them on a list, look at their achievement, and then compare them with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Or you could take the word of Michael H. Hart, who has done that already. All men and women in the human history, he's compared them, he contrasted them, and he comes and he says, he has ranked Muhammad as number one. My choice of Muhammad to lead the list of world's most influential person may surprise some readers and may be questioned by others. And here, very important, but he was the only, I said to you earlier, my statement, the only man in human history was supremely successful in both the religious and secular levels. No other example. Doesn't exist. Not my word. I believe that. And I challenge anybody to produce another one, but also by Michael H. Hart in his book, The 100. M.N. Roy, I don't have time as time is catching up, was an Indian revolutionary. In fact, he was so problematic for the British, they repeatedly put him in jail when they were ruling India. He joined the Marxist movement, was one